The 21st century has ushered in a new era of ultra-liberalism. Of that, there can be little doubt. A glut of online pornography, X-rated marches in support of various rights, and TV shows where people judge each other's genitals, hook up with other surgically enhanced narcissists to get votes, and bonk in cubes in front of live studio audiences. Yeah, call me a prude, but I preferred it when we were all a little more restrained and kept things behind closed doors. Yet, as adults' rights expand wildly and at an untested rate, something else is also happening. Something pretty sick. Children are being dragged into the whole tawdry affair. Not only is social media awash with pouting pubescence and suggestions on how to self-harm, but a whole array of so-called progressive views are being forced upon impressionable children at a younger and younger age. From drag queen story hour for 5-year-olds by characters with names like Flowjob, to school assemblies on gender identity, to family sex shows to teach youngsters all about, well, every iteration of sexual attraction and kink. Yeah, it's bad enough that many music videos today, quite frankly, wouldn't look out of place at a peep show in Soho, and teenagers are getting hooked on hardcore porn. But when grown-ups feel the need to showcase their personal desires and intimate habits to little kids, you really have to ask, whatever happened to safeguarding? Is this progressive or downright creepy and dangerous? No mainstream media is talking about this. In fact, a lot seems to be merrily going along with it all and patting themselves on the back at how modern and inclusive they are. But the effects are truly chilling. My hunch is that a lot of parents have absolutely no idea quite how deep the problem goes and the sorts of attitudes and exposures that their sons and daughters are having forced upon them. So here, at GB News, we are going to be bold enough to face this head-on and lift the lid on the severity of the situation and ask the question, are we messing up our kids? Is it right for tots as young as 4 to worry about what sex they are, or for prepubescents to twerk on TikTok for a horde of adults? Is saying we simply need to explain that porn's not real and in many cases abusive, while adolescents are being flooded with the stuff, really enough to protect their developing minds? Should we sit back as rape culture explodes in high schools and shrug our shoulders and say, well, everything's okay? Or the fact that we've needed to bring in laws to prevent minors having cosmetic surgery to look like Kardashians, well, that's just an aspect of today's pop culture. Is encouraging kids to constantly question their sex by mainstreaming body dysphoria and allowing boys and girls into each other's intimate spaces on the basis of gender self-ID, putting youngsters who rely on adult protection at huge risk of traumatic experiences? And what will happen to these kids when they grow up and they become the adults, the lawmakers and the leaders of the future? And why does there appear to be so little political will to protect the next generation from what would have once have been unthinkable access to adult extreme content and fetish, when everyone is constantly bleating on about mental health and safe spaces? Yep, today, we desperately need to talk about safeguarding before it's too late.